How mitaukiapi. Hello, everyone. When I was a little boy, my mom and I and some other relatives were driving through the Sistine Sioux reservation for some kind of gathering. And at that time in my life, I had already begun to play guitar. And during this time, when we were on the Sistine Sioux reservation, we were driving around and listening to the radio, and my mother said, David, listen, this is an Indian band on the radio. So I was really listening, and I thought, wow, that is so cool. We didn't catch who they were or what the name of the band was, but my mother heard them announce this was an American Indian band, but she didn't catch the name of the band. And they were playing a song. It was a cool rocking song. Now, this is about, somewhere in the 1970s. And I was just like, wow, this is so cool. Because in the 1970s, when is it that you actually hear an Indian band playing on a normal radio station? And I don't think there were any Indian radio stations that existed at that time. This was a normal commercial radio station, and it was so cool. Yeah, I still remember that experience. I was sitting in the car and can hear that song, and for the longest time, I didn't remember the song. Yeah, after that, I don't know. At the time, I didn't know what the name of the song was. I just remembered hearing it, and I thought, wow, just the fact that there's this Indian band on the radio, that was so cool. And the guitar solo was really cool as well. And I thought, hmm, this makes me want to play guitar even more. So I played more and harder, and I got better from that. It really fired me up to play even more. And I always remember that. And I don't know how old I was at that time. I don't remember the exact year. Maybe, I don't know, 1972, 73. I'm not sure. Maybe earlier. Maybe it was the late 60s. Not sure on that year, but it was around that time period. Okay, so my life goes on. I'm a musician in school and start learning how to play other instruments, and pretty soon I'm writing my own songs and learning classical music and becoming classically trained and getting really good at music theory. And this is what led me to university. It led me to get a music scholarship. And I studied music for a while, and other exciting things happened in my life, and well, lots of cool things happened in my life, and lots of difficulties too. I learned from them, tried to make the best of them, and continued on. Well, then, sometime around 1990, I was in my upper 20s, and I was working as a janitor. I was cleaning this building, and I had the radio on. At this time, there was this radio station at Pine Ridge called Keeley Radio, and it's still there. They're on the internet, and you can listen to them online. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because sometimes they have Lakota speakers on there, and that's really a nice thing to hear the language. So anyway, like I said, this was 1990, and I was a janitor, and I was cleaning this building, and I had the radio on, tuned into Keeley. And then I heard this song, and I thought, wow, this is kind of interesting. It's 49 style drum beat, this boom, 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 like love songs. And then there was this girl singing, and I thought, hey, this is interesting. And then it's like, this is a 49 song, but It's a 49 rock song. Yeah, there's a band, full band playing. You hear the drums and bass guitar, a little bit of keyboards and the guitar, and then there was a guitar solo. And I thought, wow, this is something. Because never heard anything like this before. And it really got my attention. And I didn't catch who the singer was, but I thought this is a cool idea. I'd never heard anything like this before. It was inspiring, yeah, because it's cool. To me, it was new because I hadn't heard anybody else do any kind of music like this. And then I learned that they played other songs, and then I learned that this lady who was singing, her name is Jackie Bird. And at that time, there was a newspaper called the Lakota Times, and they had a advertisement in there where you could order the cassettes from this group. And so I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna order some cassettes. So I did that. And when the cassettes came, I was like, wow, this is really cool, to hear an Indian band playing a new style. To me, it was a new style of music. I've never heard Indian bands do music like this before. And I thought, this is really, really unique. And it was, yeah, it was really an influence in my playing as well. And at this time, I had just come home from university, and the university that I went to had a recording studio, and I had begun writing some songs and recording some songs in that studio. And then certain things happened, and I had to come back to the reservation, but I brought my tapes with me, and I always wanted to finish recording my songs. And I thought, okay, maybe there's a studio in Rapid City, and maybe I can call them and see how much it costs to finish my recordings. Well, the Rapid City Journal, they had a review on this band. They printed some really cool things about them, and I learned more about what they do. That it's the father, and his name is Gordon Bird, and that he had a recording studio, and that his family is a band, that they have a family band, and they're called Featherstone. And what got my attention is he has a recording studio. And so I thought, hey, maybe I can contact this guy and see if I can rent his studio. And, because we're Indians, maybe he'll give me a special price. And that's my thinking back then. And so I decided to write a letter to him, tell him about myself, my musical life, that I play my own instruments and so forth. Because when you rent a recording studio, normally you have to rent every little thing. Even a guitar cable, you have to rent that. And some studios charge outrageous prices for these simple things. A lot of times studios have their own tapes, and you can only use their tapes to record on. You have to buy that. But even then, the tapes belong to the studio, so they have to keep the tapes, and sometimes it's a little bit unfair. So when you're renting studio time, a lot of studios, they require you to use their music instruments, their everything. And I had my own instruments. I had my own tape. And so in my letter to him, I told this to him to bring the price down. I said, I have my own tapes, I have my own instruments, my own microphones. I just need a machine to put my tapes on and finish recording. That's all. And I would like to do this in your studio. What are your prices? My letter went something like that. And I put my phone number on there just in case maybe he's the kind of person who doesn't like writing letters. I was thinking all kinds of things back then. Sure enough, he called me up and he said to me that he really enjoyed reading my letter and that he's interested in doing something with me musically. And he said that maybe there's a way we could help each other. That if I could help him, then he could help me. That was the idea. He said his family band was going to be playing in some concerts, and he said that his wife was the keyboard player, but his wife's name is Joanne. And Joanne wanted to focus more on her art career because she's a famous artist. A lot of famous people have purchased her artwork. So she's well known in the art world. She has a very unique style and it's very cool. Yeah, I like it. Well, he said that he needed a keyboard player because I was telling him in my letter I play this instrument and that, and I wasn't trying to brag. I just wanted him to know that if he let me rent his studio, that I can bring my own instruments and I'll play them. I'll do my own sound engineering because I know how to work things in a recording studio. I just need to rent the equipment and do the recording. So anyway, he said that his wife Joanne wanted to focus more on her art, and so that they're looking for a keyboard player. And his idea was that I could play keyboard for them, and then he could help me with my work. So I thought, okay, cool idea. So he wanted me to come to them and rehearse with them, and then travel with them to this gig where I would perform with them. And then after that, he would help me out. That was the original plan. So I went over there and met him and Joanne. It was really nice. And he took me over to his studio and he was showing me around, and there was a gold record on a wall. And I thought, wow, he has a gold record. Who is this guy? So I asked him, what is this gold record? He said, oh no. He said, it's just, they just made it look like that. He said, they only had a certain number of records printed up. And he said, this was a song that him and his band recorded many years ago. And the song was 40 Days. And I started thinking, wait a minute, that sounds familiar. I was thinking, huh? I said, what year was this? And he told me the year, and I forgot again. So I started thinking, wait a minute. I think this is the same band that I heard when I was a little boy. This song that just fired me up. And I was like, wow, okay. And I didn't say this to him. Yeah, I was just, wheels were turning in my head. Yeah, the hamsters were really running full blast. Everything was firing away in my brain, and memories were coming up. And I was like, wait a minute, I think this is the dude. Yeah, this is the guy I heard. But I just asked him questions and I said, this is cool. He said, yeah, I have one record. It's never been played, he said. So he took it out and showed it to me, and he said, yeah, this is the holy grail here. And it was that record, yeah, this 40 Days. And I saw Featherstone on there, and it's like, oh, and I start putting two and two together, and I got 22, yeah. No, and I was like, whoa, okay. I didn't say it to him, but in my mind, I was like, wow, this is the guy that I heard on the radio, when I was a little boy. And now here I am standing with him. Oh, by the way, when he asked me to come to meet his family and to check out his studio, he told me to bring my guitar and amplifier because he wanted to hear me play. He wanted to know what I sounded like. So I did that. So he told me to plug in and start playing. And he said he just wanted to hear what I sounded like. So I said, all right. So I turned up the stuff on and plugged in the guitar and start playing all my warm up routines. Yeah, I have a certain routine to get my fingers really going. I do Van Halen kind of exercises and stuff like that, and just get warmed up. Yeah, that's my own personal warm up routine. And then I guess he was kind of impressed because he said to me, okay, when we rehearse this evening, he said, I want you to play guitar. He said, I'll play keyboards. So I said, okay. And so it was nice, yeah. And while I was playing guitar, this other guy walked in, this tall Indian guy walked in, came in and said, hey, that's pretty cool. He said, yeah, my name's Willis, he said. And then Gordon came in and he said, yeah, David, he said, yeah, this is Willis White Man. He's going to be playing bass for us. He played with me years ago, so he's a good friend. He's a good bass player and a good mechanic, he said. So shook hands with them, and then we had dinner that evening, I think. And then, if I remember correctly, then I met Jackie after that. If my memory serves me correct, I think I met her at that time too. So we had dinner, then after that we went into the recording studio and we started to play these songs that they do for their concert. Some of them I already know because they're cover songs is what they're doing. And some of their own songs, I figured it out what they did because I had the cassette tapes. So we did the whole set with me on guitar, and then Gordon decided, okay, so David, you can play guitar, I'll play the keyboards. So I said, cool. And then we came to that song, 40 Days. So we start playing it, and I was like, holy, this is the song. And it was so cool for me because when I was a little boy and I heard this song on the radio, I was like, this guy's my idol, but I don't know his name. He's my idol. I don't know what he looks like. Yeah, this was back then. And now, here it is, some years later, must be what, maybe almost 20 years later. Now I'm playing with this guy. Yeah, that we're jamming together. So I was like, now I have a name and a face for my hero. Yeah, my childhood hero. And I'm playing with him. Yeah, I'm jamming with him. How cool is that? That was such a wonderful experience. It's one of the highlights of my musical life. And I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to share that because I found out several days ago that he had just passed on. And so I thought I'd do a little tribute to him. This song is a really popular song on almost any reservation that you go to. I don't think anybody really knows who wrote that song. The first time I heard that song was with Gordon Bird's Featherstone band. Later, I learned that Chuck Berry had recorded this song back in 1955, I think, somewhere around that time. But when you look at the credits, it's kind of vague. And then I heard another person recorded the song by the name of
Ronnie.
Hawkins, I want to say. Maybe I have that name wrong, but I think the last name was Hawkins. And Chuck Berry recorded it as 30 Days. And
Ronnie.
Hawkins recorded it as 40 Days. The lyrics are very similar. Chuck Berry's has a little bit different things, but basically it's the same song. And Gordon Bird's version follows more the Chuck Berry version, I think, in my ears, I believe. But that song always stuck with me. That was always, to me, a Featherstone song. And in 1990, to be able to play it with Gordon Bird, it was just amazing. And I played with the band in several performances, live performances, and I got to play the song with him on stage. I got to play bass for him as well. And it was, wow, it was like something better than I could ever hope for when I played with him, especially on stage. Yeah, to take visual cues from him because he's a good band director, and I learned a lot of things from him. I learned some things about the business from him, and it was a very good experience that I'm very grateful to have had in my life. He made me a better person, you could say. There's very few people I can say that about. People who I have met that because of them, I had become a better person, a better musician. And it was kind of a shock for me to learn that he had passed on a few days ago, a couple of weeks ago, I should say. The way I found out was several days ago. I don't know, for some reason, the name Jackie Bird was just in my mind, and I was thinking, I wonder what she's up to. It's been a long time since I had any communication with her. So I decided to check her out on Facebook, and I saw that she had done a tribute for her dad. And I was like, oh man. And I started to read the comments, and I was like, oh man, Gordon passed on. And so I sent her a message right away, sending my condolences and my prayers, and I just want as many people as possible to know about this man, Gordon Burt, and that he was a very, very wonderful musician, a person, husband, father, grandfather. And I'm glad that I was able to share part of my life with him, to journey with him for a little while, learn from him. He used to tell me, yeah, David, he said, get good in blues guitar. He said, the blues is coming back, he would say. And at that time, I was more of a heavy metal guitar player. But since then, I've expanded my interest into other styles of music, and now I see what he means. I do more blues things sometimes. I do what I like. Yeah. Sometimes I do music that is more rock oriented. Sometimes it's soft. Sometimes it's bluesy. But I started to see more of what he meant as I got more developed in my own musical training. So I am thankful that I had this time with him. I'm grateful for that. And his music will always be there, will always go on and on and on. And I was so thankful to have played with him, to jammed with him, that when I got my own recording studio, that was one of the first songs that I recorded. I thought I would do my own version of 40 Days. How I heard it in my head. I wasn't trying to, make it better than anybody's. I just wanted to do my own version of it. And so I would like to share that with you now. And this is my way of honoring a person who mentored me for a time, a person who influenced me, a person who taught me some things, very important things. And this is my way of saying thank you to him. So, Gordon, this one is for you.
Wanna give you 40 days to get back home. I talked to the judge in private early this morning. They took me to the sheriff's office to sign a warrant. I'm gonna file some charge against you. That'll be the very thing that'll send you. I'm gonna set you be back home in 40 days. 40 days. 40 days. I'm gonna set you be back home in 40 days. I'm gonna put out a worldwide hoodoo. That'll be the very thing that'll suit you. I'm gonna set you be back home in 40 days. If I don't get no satisfaction from the judge, I'm gonna take it to the FBI as a personal grudge. If I don't get no consolation, I'm gonna take it to the United Nations. I'm gonna say that you'll be back home in 40 days. 40 days. 40 days. I'm gonna say that you'll be back home in 40 days. I'm gonna file some charge against you. That'll be the very thing that'll send you. I'm gonna say that you'll be back home in 40 days. Oh, 40 days. 40 days. I'm gonna say that you'll be back home in 40 days. I'm gonna put on a worldwide hoodoo. That'll be the very thing that'll suit you. I'm gonna say that you'll be back home in 40 days. Oh, 40 days. 40 days. I'm gonna say that you'll be back home in 40 days. If I don't get no consolation, I'm gonna take it to the United Nations. I'm gonna say that you'll be back home in 40 days. I'm gonna say that you'll be back home in 40 days. I'm gonna say that you'll be back